Bill Gates, telling people to use less won't help solve climate change. Greenhouse gas emissions are a major cause of climate change. These emissions come from every part of the world's economy, including electricity, manufacturing, transportation, agriculture, and industrial processes. Since the 1970s, greenhouse gas emissions have mostly been going up. Activists often say that using and consuming less is one way to fight climate change. This idea is often called degrowth. Bill Gates, who in 2015 started Breakthrough Energy, an investment fund for climate technology and innovation, and in 2021 wrote How to Avoid a Climate Disaster, says this idea is a pipe dream. Gates told Akshat Reddy on Thursday's episode of the Bloomberg podcast Zero. I don't think it's realistic to say that people are going to completely change their lifestyle because they're worried about climate change. Before the Inflation Reduction Act was passed in September, the interview was taped in August. You can have a cultural revolution where you try to change everything, or you can make it like North Korea, where the government is in charge. Gates said, I don't see any way to solve the collective action problem other than giving the government a lot of power so that everyone just obeys. The billionaire technologist said that most people won't change their own habits in ways that make them less comfortable to help solve a global problem. I think it's too hard to say that we'll tell people to stop eating meat or stop wanting a nice house, and that will basically just change what people want, Gates said. There are good reasons for it. But I don't think it's possible for that to be the most important thing. Gates said that even if countries and people who have enough in their lives and can cut back do so, that won't be enough to cut down on greenhouse gas emissions enough to stop climate change. He said that Gates himself pays $9 million a year to make up for the greenhouse gases he makes. But just having a few rich countries, a few rich companies, and a few rich people buy their way out so they can say they're not part of the problem has nothing to do with solving the problem, Gates said. Also, the global pandemic, rising healthcare costs, helping poor countries with things other than climate change, and the war in Ukraine are all competing for attention and money. People in the climate space might not realize how many things are competing for the small amount of extra resources that society has, Gates said. And that not that many people are willing to be worse off because of climate requirements. Gates says that the solution is to make better technological alternatives that can do the same job but are better for the environment and cost the same or less. Gates has long called the difference between how things are usually done and how they should be done to reduce carbon emissions the green premium. Gates says that if we want to do something about climate change, the green premium needs to be slowly cut back and then taken away from all parts of the economy. In order to get rid of the green premium, Bill Gates's investment fund, Breakthrough Energy Ventures, gives money to early-stage startups that are trying to find new ways to make things or do things. During the interview, Gates hinted that Breakthrough Energy Ventures would be raising a third fund by next year to continue to invest in and speed up the development of these climate startups. He also said that Breakthrough Energy is likely to raise money to invest in companies that are further along in their development. Investing in tech and climate companies isn't as exciting as it used to be, but I still think we'll be able to get the money, he told Reddy. Also important, getting off fossil fuels is not always a straight line on the way to decarbonization. The war in Ukraine and Europe's attempts to become less dependent on energy from Russia have shown that, in order to take care of people, there may be short-term setbacks and larger goals to reduce carbon emissions. When people tell me, hey, we love your climate stuff because we can tell Putin we don't need him, I say, yeah, in 10 years. Call him and tell him you don't need him, Gates said. Between now and then, it's possible that the European Union will have to use fossil fuels. Should you start using coal again? Probably. These practical things are important. Should that gas field in the Netherlands be opened up again? Maybe so. There are a lot of hard choices to make. That was a big surprise, Gates said. In the short term, you have to come up with any solution, even if it means more pollution. The war should end as soon as possible. But there are many things to think about when deciding how to end it. Gates says that the only solution that will work in the long run is to find new ways to help people. I'm not using climate as a moral crusade, I'm looking at what the world needs to do to get to zero, he said.